Emily. Well, thank you for meeting with me today. So I first want to say the purpose of our meeting. This is a content planning session. So with the content planning session, we're really going to dive deep into the content. We're going to analyze it, break it down, highlight the key components, and also to put ourselves in the learning process of the students.
Okay.
So what content will you be focusing on?
We will be working on RL 2.5, which is the structural differences between poetry and drama.
Okay, structural differences. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we'll be focusing on what really goes into a poem and a drama and what makes it that, like the lines, the line breaks, stanzas, rhyming patterns, meter, all of that for poems, and then, the cast and characters, setting the scene, the stage directions, dialogue, all of that for drama.
Okay, so it's really just pointing out the differences.
Right.
And I noticed in your PowerPoint slide, right, one of your materials, it has this column chart where it does show
Right.
that structural differences that you're talking about
Mhm.
between poems and drama.
Yes.
What other materials are you going to be handing to the students other than the PowerPoint presentation?
The students will receive paper copies of the poem that we will be reading
Okay.
together,
I see
and they
that.
will receive the drama that we're going to work on, as well as an exit ticket on that drama. So that's what they will physically receive.
Okay, and then I see this. What is?
That's
what is
the
it?
exit ticket for the
Okay.
drama.
Okay, this is the exit ticket.
Yes.
Okay.
We will make an anchor chart kind of with these things that you pointed out, the 3 columns. We'll use those to kind of make an anchor chart, because I won't be posting this until I'm sure that they have got it down.
Right.
They helped me build this list.
Where did you get the materials?
Pretty much everything I got is from the instructional guides that are provided by the district.
Okay, perfect. What are the most important things you?
All the different aspects that go into a poem and a drama, and how those are, either alike or different, because there are some ways that they're alike.
What do you mean by different aspects? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that is kind of like, again, the rhyming words that go in, the meter, rhythm, I just said rhyming words, but the stanzas, writing in lines and using line breaks, using expression when you're reading a drama because you're reading it as cast, your character in this play, the stage directions, and reading those in your head.
How do you know that the kids are going to understand these aspects?
Really, at first, it's going to be watching them work it, watching them number the stanzas, watching them mark up their text, and then further on down the line, it'll be the way that they perform.
Okay, great. What would students need to know previously in order to understand this concept?
So I like them to understand the structural elements of prose before moving into this, because them understanding the structure of what we read every day, stories and textbooks, understanding that structure like complete sentences, capitalization, grammar, punctuation, paragraphs, having a base of something that we read all the time to compare these new aspects, these new structures to.
Got it. You're using it as your foundation.
Right. It's kind of, exactly. It's like my base, my foundation for something that they can look back at and see how a poem or how a drama is different from that.
Got it. So how would you break this concept down into parts?
Okay, so we started off by making sure we all understood prose, and we'll start with poetry, and really break it down, how they write it in lines that are not complete sentences, how they don't always follow the rules of spelling, grammar, punctuation, stuff like that. And then moving into the stanzas and verses, numbering those, everything that goes into the poem like that. And then same thing with the rocking chair, the drama. I'll have them number the lines in it. They'll mark up the text and look for the stage directions and everything like that. Really just kind of take it step by step until I know that they can take it all on as a whole.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question of how were you going to know that the students understand this hierarchy and then it broken down into these parts? But I think you just kind of answered me that you are going to have them code the text.
Right.
And with poetry, you're going to have them mark the lines, mark the stanzas,
Yes, always marking
the rhythm, and as well with the drama.
Right, yes.
Perfect. I think that would be really beneficial to the kids. What part of this concept do you think students need to understand first?
I think that the most important thing that they need to understand, like we've said, is my foundation, the prose. They need to understand that, but the first thing that we'll jump into is poetry because they already have some background knowledge on poetry. So that's going to be the next thing that I really want them to have down before we continue to move forward.
Because that's your foundation.
Right.
Makes sense. So how will you present the objectives to the class?
I always have my objectives posted on my blackboard and then my essential questions on the whiteboard. I also have them, the standard, objective, and essential question posted on the board. And we go through that, we review it every day.
Okay. When you said review it every day, can you say it how you would say it to the class? What would you say?
So I keep it the language that they use in the instructional guides because that's really the language that I want my kids to be using. So I'm not going to like dumb it down for them. I will make sure that they understand the vocabulary that's in them. So I would say I want you to identify the structural elements of this poem.
Okay. So present the lesson content to the class.
It will all be posted up on the smart board, like my PowerPoint, but they will also be receiving the paper copies of the poem, the drama, the exit ticket.
Our time. We're doing okay. Good. How will you know if students are understanding or not?
Paper exit ticket for the drama, and then I have my exit ticket. It's not necessarily an exit ticket, but the questions that they'll answer based on the poetry, they'll talk about that with their groups, and they'll do the turn and talk discussion for that.
What do you expect to hear from those conversations as students are turning and talking so that you know that they understand?
I would expect to hear the terminology that I use when I'm teaching it to them. I don't want to hear, oh, it's broken up into chunks, it's broken up into paragraphs. It's broken down into stanzas. They write lines. They don't follow the rules necessarily, at least with poetry. I want to hear the jargon and the terminology that we would use, and I hopefully hear it accurately. But yeah, I would like to hear that vocabulary in there.
Okay. Will there be an assessment?
Yes, there's a district-provided assessment for this.
Okay. And does the assessment have it breaking down as you are teaching them?
Yes. So it really only covers poetry, but they do have them, break down the poem into stanzas, identify what happens in each stanza. They're still checking for comprehension, that they're reading the poem, not just looking at the structure. They have questions about what's going on in the poem and everything like that, but there are a lot of questions about the stanzas. What happens in this stanza? What would a reader miss if this stanza wasn't included?
What would you want the students to tell you, to show you that they really understand it?
To express to me the differences between prose, poetry, drama. We've already covered prose. I know that they pretty much have that down, but by the end of this week, I would like them to be able to really describe to me what makes it a poem, what makes it a drama.
So far, I think we have a clear understanding of what the content is, the objective of I can describe the differences between poetry and drama.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are the activities? What are the things you're going to have the kids do during this time?
So I will have all of the kids will have a turn in their groups to performing the poem. And then once we've answered the questions and done the turn and talk, we'll move on to the drama. So I'm going to have each group perform the drama themselves because there's only 3 characters in the drama. Each group will perform so that they can feel what it's like to be a character in a play and how they need to read it and how to use the stage directions. And then once I've kind of walked around and monitored and seen, who knows how to perform in this and who doesn't, I'll have 3 of the best, the ones that I think did, pretty good, that are really getting it, perform for the entire class so that the class can see as a whole what it looks like to perform it well. And then we'll do our exit ticket. That's making sure that they're interpreting the drama. And then after all of that, we'll do the anchor chart with the different elements of prose, poetry, and drama.
I think you having them actually now act this out after you went over how to break it down and everything, and now you see it in action, that's really higher order, and they're creating this. And I think that's really good evidence for you to really see, kind of like a whole summative assessment. Like, did they really grasp it?
Yeah.
That sounds great and really beneficial. Well, thank you for our time.